Hi there guys, this is Nikhil from Greedy Tech and this is an in-depth comparison between Xiaomi's Mi 5 and Lenovo Vibe X3. So guys, on the left we have the Mi 5 and on the right we have the Lenovo Vibe X3. So let's start off with the basic specifications. So these are the specifications of Mi 5 and these are the specifications of Vibe X3. So I'm not going to go through the entire specification again and again. So let's dive into the comparison. So guys, first let's look at the build quality of both the devices. So starting off with Mi 5, we have a 5.15-inch display with Full HD resolution, and on the top we have the front facing camera with sensors, and at the bottom we have the capacitive touch buttons with a physical home button and a fingerprint scanner. And on the left we have just a SIM card tray, and on the right we have the power button and the volume rocker. At the bottom we have two grills for speakers, but the speaker is only on the right side, so it's a mono speaker, and in the center we have a USB Type-C charging port. On the top we have the 3.5mm audio jack, infrared sensor and a microphone. On the back we have the rear camera, dual tone LED flash and Mi logo at the bottom. Now let's look at the Vibe X3. So on the Vibe X3 we have a 5.5-inch Full HD display. At the bottom we have the touch capacitive buttons, by the way, which are not reversible or configurable. On Mi 5 we can configure the capacitive buttons. On the right we have the volume button and the power rocker, very similar to Mi 5. On the left we have the SIM card tray. On the front top of the display we have the front facing camera, sensors and dual front facing speakers. At the bottom we have just the micro USB charging port. On the top we have the 3.5mm audio jack and the infrared sensor. On the back we have the fingerprint scanner, dual tone LED flash and the camera. Coming to the build materials of both the devices, Mi 5 has a Corning Gorilla Glass 4 on front and back, and Lenovo Vibe X3 has a Corning Gorilla Glass 3 on the front and a plastic back panel. Both the devices has a nice aluminum band running throughout the phone, and besides that Mi 5 has this nice curve to the back which actually feels very comfortable to hold. Both the devices come in multiple colors. So the Mi 5 comes in black, white and gold, whereas the Vibe X3 comes in just black and white. In India, only the 32GB white versions of both the phones are released. So we don't have any official information about when the other versions or colors will be released in India. On the Mi 5 we have dual SIM support, so we can insert two nano SIM cards and we don't have any expandable memory option. Whereas on the Vibe X3 we can either insert a SIM card and a memory card or two SIM cards. So guys, both the devices have non-replaceable batteries. And coming to the basic sensors, both the devices have fingerprint sensor, infrared sensor and an NFC on the back. And coming to the weight of these devices, Mi 5 weighs about 129 or 130 grams and Vibe X3 weighs about 175 grams. With just a difference of 35 grams, Mi 5 feels very light and Vibe X3 feels very heavy when I compare the weight of these two devices. So guys, just in terms of build quality, I would prefer Mi 5 over Vibe X3. So guys, going on to the displays, both the devices sport a Full HD display, and on the Mi 5 we have something called as a luminous display, which increases the brightness of the display in direct sunlight. So when it comes to indoor usage, there isn't much difference between both the devices, but when you actually use both the devices in direct sunlight, Mi 5 is much more comfortable to use. I'm just going to play the same video in both the devices at the same time so you can see how each device looks like. So guys, when we just compare the brightness of the two devices, we can clearly see that Mi 5 is slightly brighter than Vibe X3. And coming to the color reproduction, colors on Mi 5 look more natural, whereas on the Vibe X3 they look just a little more saturated. Both the devices are pretty good for watching videos, but as you can see, Vibe X3 has a slightly bigger screen than the Mi 5. So guys, when it comes to display, I would definitely prefer Mi 5 over Vibe X3. So coming to the camera performance, this is how the UI for the camera apps on both the devices look like. So both the devices are pretty well loaded with all kinds of features. So you have 4K video on both the devices, fast motion, slow motion and even time-lapse panorama shots. We have nice filters easily available on Mi 5. So guys, the Mi 5 has a 16 megapixel Sony IMX 298 sensor with f2.0 aperture, face detection autofocus, 4-axis optical image stabilization and dual tone LED flash, whereas the Vibe X3 has a 21 megapixel camera, with f2.0 aperture, phase detection autofocus, and dual tone LED flash. So when it comes to the rear camera performance, once again MI5 does a way better job because of its optical image stabilization and a comparatively larger sensor. So guys, these are some image samples. So as I've said, because MI5 has optical image stabilization, pictures and videos shot on MI5 looks way stable than Vibe X3. So guys, coming to the front facing camera, MI5 has a 4 megapixel camera with f2.0 aperture, whereas the Vibe X3 has the 8 megapixel camera. By the way, MI5 has an ultra pixel camera, so in terms of front facing camera performance, once again MI5 is better than Vibe X3. So guys, once again in the camera round, MI5 wins over Vibe X3. Coming to the performance, MI5 is powered by a Snapdragon 810 chipset, which is a quad-core processor with a maximum clock frequency of 1.8 GHz, whereas the Vibe X3 is powered by a Snapdragon 808 hex-core processor with a maximum frequency of 1.8 GHz. MI5 has Adreno 530 GPU, whereas Vibe X3 has Adreno 418 GPU. Just in terms of the generations of CPU, MI5 has the latest generation of CPU, whereas Vibe X3 has a slightly older generation of CPU. And coming to the internal storage and RAM, the MI5 has 32 GB of internal storage and 3 GB of RAM, whereas Vibe X3 has 32 GB of internal storage and 3 GB of RAM, and an option for expandable storage up to 128 GB. There are 3 versions of MI5, so we have 32 GB variant, 64 GB and 128 GB variant. We have 2 versions of Vibe X3, one with 32 GB variant and the other with 64 GB variant. As of now, only the 32 GB variants have been launched in India. And coming to the actual performance, these are the benchmark scores, and clearly MI5 performs way better than Vibe X3. But that's just in the benchmarks. But in day-to-day usage, you will notice only a slight difference in performance in both these devices. Applications will start faster on MI5 than on Vibe X3, but that's just few milliseconds or sometimes few seconds. And coming to the RAM management, MI5 has a very serious bug, so it just kills applications in the background insanely. For example, I opened the Amazon app on MI5 and then switched to Flipkart app, and when I returned to Amazon app, it was killed and opened once again. So that's pretty annoying. Whereas on Vibe X3 we don't have any such issue. But if we look at MI5, it has been very recently launched in India, so it's running a global version of MIUI, and currently there are few bugs, and I guess we should give some time for MI to fix the bugs in MI5. But as of now, irrespective of the software updates or the bugs, when it comes to performance of opening applications quickly, MI5 rocks. And when it comes to RAM management and opening applications, Vibe X3 does a much better job. So in terms of performance, it's even, but in day-to-day usage I would prefer X3 over MI5 currently. Well, if Xiaomi fixes the memory management issues in MI5, then MI5 is definitely a beast of a phone in terms of performance. So in this round, Vibe X3 will be the winner for day-to-day usage, and just for the specs, MI5 is the winner in terms of performance. Coming to the software aspect of both the phones, MI5 is running something called as MIUI 7 on top of Android Marshmallow 6.0, whereas Vibe X3 is running something called as Vibe UI on top of Android 5.1. When it comes to the design and how pretty the entire UI looks, so MIUI is known for stripping away everything from stock Android and completely customizing it to make it look very similar to, you know what, iPhones or iOS. These are the stock launchers of both the devices. Lenovo actually comes with 2 different stock launchers and the other one which is very similar to the Google Now launcher. and these are the recent tasks page of both the devices. So on the right we have the Vibe UI, which is once again very close to stock Android, and this is what I personally like. On the left we have the same old MIUI version of recent tasks panel, so you can simply swipe the app up to kill it, swipe it down to lock it, and press this button to kill all the apps. So just in terms of visuals and how good the entire operating system looks, Vibe X3 is the winner. But when it comes to performance and how smooth the UI is, MIUI wins here. So everything feels buttery smooth. These are all just animations, but they are very fast. Every application opens up very quickly, but that's not the case with Vibe X3. Well, Vibe X3 opens up apps quickly, but it's not just as fast as MI5. So if you can live with just few milliseconds of lag, then Vibe X3 is also a pretty good pick. But in terms of OS optimization for fastness, MI5 wins this round. Coming to the customizations, both the devices have a theme engine built into them, but theme engine in MIUI is way better than the Vibe UI. In MIUI you can change each and every aspect of the phone, but whereas on the Vibe X3 it only changes the icons, wallpapers and a few styles. And coming to the advanced customizations, MIUI offers a lot of customizations for power user, which are currently not available on Vibe X3. But still Vibe X3 offers its own versions of customizations like double tap to wake and other motion gestures and screen gestures. So if you're a power user, you will like MIUI better, and if you're a normal casual user who want things like double tap to wake and some other small tricks up its sleeve, then you will like Vibe X3. By the way guys, out of the box, MI5 doesn't support double tap to wake feature, but recently I've seen in the MIUI forums that the Chinese MIUI ROM now supports double tap to wake. So we might get double tap to wake in the global version of MIUI very soon. Coming to the speaker performance of both the devices, MI5 has just a mono speaker at the bottom right. So the speaker grill on the left is just to make a symmetric design, and the speaker is on the right side. The mono speaker provided is pretty loud enough for a small room or a silent place, but in a bigger room or in a noisy place, you might find the speaker to be quite insufficient. Whereas on the Vibe X3, we have this dual front-facing speakers with Dolby Atmos, which sounds really good. So in terms of media consumption, I would definitely prefer Vibe X3 over MI5. So guys, coming to the battery, MI5 is powered by a 3000 mAh lithium polymer non-removable battery, whereas the Vibe X3 is powered by 3500 mAh non-replaceable battery. So just in terms of capacity, Vibe X3 is better, but due to the optimizations on MI5, you actually get slightly better battery life on MI5. Coming to the charging port on both the devices, you have a USB Type-C on MI5 and a micro USB charging port on Vibe X3. MI5 has Qualcomm fast charging 3.0, whereas Vibe X3 has Qualcomm's fast charging 1.0. On the paper, Xiaomi claims that MI5 can be charged from 0 to 90% in 1 hour. But in my test, I found that it took about 2 hours to charge this device, whereas the Vibe X3 charges from 0 to 100 in less than 90 minutes. And coming to the screen on time of both the devices, on normal usage, you get a screen on time of 4 to 5 hours on MI5, whereas you get somewhere around 4 hours on Vibe X3. Both the devices have additional modes and customizations to improve battery life, but on the whole, you will find the battery life on MI5 to be slightly better than Vibe X3. So there you have it guys, this is the in-depth comparison between MI5 and Lenovo Vibe X3. So even though MI5 seems to be winning in each and every round, but at the end of the day, for regular day-to-day usage and a great multimedia experience, I would definitely suggest you to buy Vibe X3. If Xiaomi decides to launch the 64GB version of MI5 in India, then that will be definitely way better than the Vibe X3. So there you have it guys, that's a complete comparison. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you don't like it, do let me know by commenting below this video. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel to see more videos just like this.